Welcome to my channel, sweet friend. If you're not familiar with me, I'm Erica. I am an avid reader ever since August of 2023. So it's still new for me. I'm still finding what I like and don't like. And today I would really like to talk about all the books I've read that have very little to no spice. I read a lot of books with spice or considered smut, right? But I have read quite a few that have very little or no spice at all, and today we're going to talk about it. Now, to my understanding, Katherine Center is a very good no spice author. None of her books have spice, to my understanding. I have read two of them, and I have enjoyed both of them. I read the rom-commers on audiobook, and it was very good. I gave it a 4-star. It was just very predictable. There was nothing super unique about it, which is common with rom-coms. You know, there's not ever anything super outstanding about them, but this was on par. It was very good, along with The Bodyguard as well. This one I actually read with my eyes, and I did enjoy them. I enjoyed them both. I thought they were both very cute, very sweet, very fluffy. Nothing too heavy in them if you're looking for just a nice palate cleansing read. Assistant to the Villain was really good. I actually went into this book not expecting to like it at all, but it was a book club pick. My book club does this to me. They always pick books I don't want to read, and then I end up loving them, and this was one of those. Technically, I believe it's considered a YA book, but I did not find this book to be YA. I found it to actually be kind of, I wouldn't say dark, but it was kind of violent, and descriptive in the violence. But there wasn't, or not that I remember, too much spice at all. And it was really cute. I really enjoyed this read. I would highly recommend this. I have not yet read the subsequent books in the series. I'm kind of waiting for the series to be finished. So until then, this was pretty good. Funny story by Emily Henry. This is actually the only Emily Henry book that I've read, and it was okay. I really liked the premise and the plot of this book, but when you have funny in the title, I expect you to be funny. And I didn't think it was that funny at all, actually. I get it. Funny story. Because of what it's about. I get it. But it wasn't funny. It was just kind of blah for me. I felt like it could have been shorter, but overall, it was okay. The Selection series. Now, this is actually, the entire series is 5 books, but these are the 3 that I read, which is the original trilogy. The 2 books that come after are on a different timeline that follow different people. This is the original trilogy, and you know what? It was like reading a teenage Bachelor. That's literally how it felt. It was okay. It really frustrated me. There's a love triangle in here, and I do not enjoy love triangles, and this definitely solidified that for me because I found myself very frustrated, especially as the love triangle did not resolve until book 3. So I spent 2 books like, are you kidding me? Just pick one. Do something. Do something other than what you're currently doing. So, not my favorite, but if I would say that this would be appropriate for like a teenager or someone who's into this. I don't know. It was very strange. It wasn't necessarily for me. The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren is one of my favorite books of all time. I have never cackled as much as I cackled in this in a rom-com. There are other books that I will get to in this stack that I did laugh more at, but in a rom-com, very fluffy, very non-committal, not heavy content, this was the one. Anytime anyone asks me for a funny book, this is the one that gets recommended. It was outstanding. There definitely was spice in here, but very little. I would not consider this a smutty book by any means, but there was a few spicy scenes in here, but you can definitely skip through them if that's not your jam, because this book is worth the read. Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez. This had like 2 parts in it that I laughed at. I don't know if you're looking for a rom-com or just a fluffy romance. Just very predictable. Very predictable. And I was just unimpressed with it. I did like it. It's not that I didn't like it. It's just that when I read a rom-com, I like something different to happen. Something that I wasn't expecting, because I feel like they're all the same. Sure, they might have a different storyline, but overall, they all they're just predictable, and that's how I felt about this. It was good. The writing was good. It was cute. It just wasn't anything for me to write home about. Overall, I did like it though. Powerless and Reckless. This, if you're not familiar, is a fantasy, but it is a YA fantasy. There is absolutely zero spice in these books. Zero, zilch, nada, none. However, you could cut this tension with a knife, okay? The tension in here is probably better than half of the romance books I've ever read in my life. The tension and the banter, these two going back and forth at each other is, outstanding, outstanding. If you are a fantasy person, if you read a lot of fantasy books, I'm gonna be honest with you, this is probably not for you. There's a lot of plot holes in the fantasy aspects of these books. They're basically a Hunger Games ripoff. I've also heard that they're a ripoff of Red Queen, but I personally have not read that series yet. However, if you are a romance reader, read these books, girl. Literally, the romance in this, even though there's no spice whatsoever, I didn't miss it. Not once. I was kicking my feet like a giddy little schoolgirl at this couple. Oh my God. And the next one comes out in April of this year, 2025. So be prepared. And the next one is the last one. So we're done, which is nice. She said there might be some more novellas, but we are getting the finale, finally. I'm so excited to complete a series. Love and Other Words by Christina Lauren. If you are an audiobook listener, I would highly, highly, highly recommend this book on audio. It was a single narrator, but her voice for the male was outstanding to the point where I forgot it was only one person narrating the book. Outstanding read. I loved this so much. Christina Lauren seems to be a very big hit or a very big miss for me. I have DNF'd one of her books and I have rated multiple of her books 5 stars. So this is one of those books. This was a 5-star read for me. It was so cute, so sweet. And it is a little heavier. So it's not like Unhoneymooners where it's a rom-com. It is a little bit heavier and it does have some more emotional content to it. But I really, really, really enjoyed this read. Highly recommend. The 7 Year Slip. This was very interesting because it had an aspect to it that just made it stand out from other rom-coms. You know, we talked about it earlier where I don't really like the predictability, and there was a small twist in here, not even small, but kind of a big twist in here that made it to where you genuinely don't know how it's gonna end. This is one of those books where you're like, are they gonna end up together? Maybe they won't. I wasn't expecting the ending. It was kind of shocking for me, but at the same time, it is a romance book, right? So just keep that in mind, that it has a different aspect to it, but it is refreshing. It was very nice to have something unexpected and truly not know how everything was going to work itself out. Really, really enjoyed that from it. This got a 5-star for me. Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross. This is a fantasy. This is a young adult fantasy, and I did not enjoy this. I did not enjoy this at all. You know, it's very, very YA, young adult, and it's very rushed. The ending, I was just like, I don't know that I understand how we got here. I don't get it. There was no depth to it at all. Very surface level, and I'm like, you're absolute children. No, this one was not for me. I did not move on to the next book in this series. I don't even remember what it's called at this moment, but this was not for me and not something I would ever recommend to anybody. But I feel like I am in the minority with this. I feel like a lot of people really, really enjoyed this read. So reading is very subjective. I didn't like it, but maybe you will. This is on the list of books with no spice though, for sure. And last but not least, my favorite romance of all time is Binding and Keeping 13. Now, this one is important to talk about because it is classified as a young adult series. I do not agree with that. The content of this book is very mature. It is very heavy, very emotional, and depending on what a teenager has been through in their life, I don't necessarily think that this content is appropriate for most teenagers. Are there teenagers that could read this and enjoy it and get a lot from it? Sure, of course. There's always an outlier to the situation. However, in my very humble opinion and in my experience as a very prude, very goody two-shoe teenager, I would not have wanted to read this book. So, as an adult though, this was an incredible read. I added both in here because they really are like one book. They're very big. They're about 650 pages each, and I think that's why she split them up. But it is one full story. You can't read one without the other. So I will say, even though there is very little spice in here, they do talk about sexual things a lot. There's a lot of talk about genitalia. There's a lot of talk about sex, but there's not a lot of sex happening, if that makes sense. In this book, the first one of the series, there's no spice at all. In the second book, there is spice, but be aware that these are young adults. The characters are under the age of 18. So do with that what you will. It's not the kind of spice that's supposed to get you going. It's genuinely part of the story and like just moves it forward. So just keep that in mind. That's why I added these in here, but these are my favorite romance of all time. Please notice I did not add in books 3, 4, or 5 of this series because those have significantly more spice and these are like on the lower end. So there you have it, reviews on most of the non-spicy books I've read. I hope that you subscribe to my channel, and if you have any recommendations on any reviews that you'd like to see, please drop them in the comments below. I would love to continue on to this YouTube journey and keep providing anything that you're looking for. In the last 18 months of being a reader, I have read over 200 books. My main genre is romance, but I have read historical fiction and thrillers, so let me know what you're looking for, and I would love to make more videos for you. Have a wonderful day, and don't forget to subscribe.